Welcome to OOO, an out of ordinary podcast where we dig deep into case studies and the nitty gritty of Web3 marketing. You'll find here all the amazing people that are building Web3, so stick to us as we entrust our marketing secrets and learn how to build amazing products and brands. Hello, everyone. I'm Alex, a fellow Web3 marketer and the host of Out of Ordinary podcast. This is episode 69. I know I've been a bit MIA for a while, but I'm back. And you can see it on socials. And if you don't already follow me, what are you even doing? I've been working on a bunch of stuff to make the space a little bit better for everyone. 3 very successful Web3 marketing hackathons, a community of marketers in Web3, and just hustling my way into Web3 marketing, working with projects and traders. The reason for that is that I know resources are scarce and I think together we can push the pedal. I'll be making some changes on the format of this podcast, so if you also want to get involved, such as sponsor, hire, grow the community, or come on the pod, DM me. Now, without further ado, let me introduce you to my guest. Rayka started coding at 12 in Iran, won 6 national game development competitions, and had games with millions of downloads by 17. He started his first company at 18. That's crazy, right? Today, he runs a venture studio that has built over 100 products for companies including Starbucks, Forbes, and Under Armour, generating over $120 million in client outcomes. His model? Only build with people who already have distribution and generate revenue on day one. Hi, Raika. Welcome to the Out of Ordinary podcast. How are you?
Hello. I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for coming with me today. It's Monday. We are recording this at 10 a.m. in the morning, so that's I'm happy that we're starting this week like this. And to kind of kick it off, do you want to tell our audience like who are you and how did you get into Web3?
100%. My name is Rayka. They know me as Raymo in the Web3 space. I started 12 years ago as a developer, turned that into a company. Then the company evolved into a product studio and a venture studio. We ended up working with a lot of big brands. We worked with Forbes, Starbucks, Under Armour. We have a venture studio and a product studio. With the venture studio, we co-build software products with distribution partners. With the product studio, we build products end to end because we realized technology is just the vehicle that gets you there, and the main goal is the product as a whole. We use the same skill set to do it as a service and also within the venture studio as an investment vehicle.
You told me that you shipped over 100 products. What was your favorite?
My favorite one was a platform we built called Engage to Earn. It was, I think now 4 or 5 years ago. We did this backend system where people could do engagement on social media. It's what you know as your Galaxy or so on and so forth now. But we built that 5 years ago and had that backend system being used by a lot of big brands. The reason it's my favorite is because it really taught me you could build something as an infrastructure and then resell that to a lot of people and have them capitalize on it. And we ended up like selling it to 30, 40 people. And when I say people, these are massive brands. But yeah, that was a very good learning for me with building products.
What did you like about this experience?
I feel like just being able to see how much leverage it gives you when you can help people with an already existing infrastructure and just scaling based off of doing what worked for another person for more people taught me a big lesson. I feel like you a lot of people focus on a lot of different things, and as a venture studio we do that a lot. We focus on multiple products at the same time, but the main thing is the ability to compound that learning within one singular product, and then being able to take that out there and the next person gets a better product, and they know if they stick with us they'll get an even better product because the core is improving as it goes by. I feel like that compounding effect on the product is a big learning for me.
Something you brought up is actually connected to something that I wanted to ask you as our next question. You talked about like different brands having different needs, and what is the common thread in these products that actually performed versus the ones that didn't? And do you think there's anything different in Web3?
Uh, I there's definitely different dynamics when it comes to Web3, and a lot of the different monetization formats that they have in Web3 don't necessarily exist in other places. But at core, you need to solve a specific tangible problem for a business that would result in a specific ROI for a business in order to sell them the product. Meaning, if you can say, I'm directly either adding revenue to your top line, increasing your decreasing your costs, or saving you time, which in another form is also saving you money. That's all that matters, whether it's in Web3, Web2, big brand, small brand. At the end of the day, if you can either make them more money or save them money, that's where you can actually build a product. And then it's all about positioning that with a correct offer in order to sell that to them.
What what like I feel like right now everybody's like hiring product product marketers. I wanted to say like PMMs, but like there was a manager there at the end of it. What do you think like what do you think like a high performing product looks like in 2026, especially when it comes to Web3? And what are like some metrics like a North Stars that you're looking at and anybody should be looking at right now? And the reason why I brought up this product marketing managers roles is that like I've seen an increase in this kind of roles for like quite some time, maybe like since a year and a half ish. But right now I'm seeing a lot more, especially because my wild guess is like nobody had a good product actually, and everybody's really trying to figure out like where to go. So they pivoted into like totally different ways. Everybody wanted builders, then they wanted users, then now everybody's going into institutionals and stable coins. So what do you think like a high performing product looks like right now, and what are its north stars?
With any product, the North Star is to have a higher LTV than your customer acquisition cost. The good thing we have in Web3 is the customer acquisition costs are typically low within our space. So you end up doing a lot of partnerships, so on and so forth. And through the correct marketing, you could bring eyeballs to a product and bring users to a product. But even if you solve that problem of marketing and distributing the product, if you have that initial distribution to bring the users, if you have that community, if you have that audience, there's still going to be another problem to solve for your business to work. And that's going to be the LTV, the amount of money you're making off of a user on an average basis. And how you can actually improve that LTV is in short form, giving them a very solid user experience plus a very good value for them to be able to continue using your product. So in order to achieve those two, you need to improve your retention within the product, which is something that a lot of people miss and don't focus on, and actually have a very smooth user experience. I feel like, to boil it down, within the Web3 space, maybe a lot of people are targeting the correct problems, but they're not targeting the right user experience. And that's hurting them a lot. Sometimes you might be solving a valid problem. It might actually save people time or money or make people money. But at the end of the day, if you can't provide them with a good user experience to hook them, it's going to be the end of the story. That's one of the reasons some of the highest performing products in our space are gambling products, because they're the most gamified. Like they try to optimize the user experience as much as possible. And that's their core, their focus. And I feel like if more products thought about it from a what would a gambling platform do, although it's not an amazing way to put it, but I feel like we would have a lot better apps.
Do you think AI is like helping right now or helping us all build more products in general? Or do you think we're just the same in the same place where we were before?
From just a pure metrics perspective, AI is definitely helping us to do more like there's more applications that are going out there. There's more products that are going out there and seeing the light of day. But from a quality perspective, I sincerely believe nothing changed or even quality decreased, because a lot of people focus on pushing a lot of products out, where the main thing is you as the person who's creating this business, who's creating this product, need to have the right mindset and the right understanding of running a business in order to do the product successfully. You're not even targeting distribution. Like that's literally the first thing you should be targeting. That's the reason we only work with distribution partners, is because they come in with the customers. So they smooth out that 0 to 1 phase of the product development process. And a lot of people just build a product and then it's like spray and pray. They put the product out and they hope or wish or think people would automatically come. Where in reality, that's never been the case with building any product. So as long as you're not doing the fundamentals right, you're not operating business correctly, you're not gonna achieve anything. One of my good friends was saying this to me a couple of days ago, which is very interesting. As the founder and leader of the business, at the end of the day, your job is to guide the people under you who are managing the rest of the company, their own divisions, in the right direction. So you need to be kind of the mentor of the whole group and be able to guide them in the right direction. Now, let's assume all those people get replaced by AI agents. You still have the same problem. You still have to guide those AI agents in the right direction, even if the AI agents were the perfect agents. You're never going to be able to ask AI to build you $1 billion business and it just goes out and do it. You need to be the right person who guides those agents, that AI, and so on and so forth in the right direction. So AI has definitely given us solid tools. But as long as people aren't like the right type to build the business out, and they're not thinking of it in terms of building a business, rather they just want to build a product and ship it out to the market, it's never going to work.
I do have another question for you, though. Um, I just came back from Eat Cluj last week. And at my stage, there were a lot of talks about like, one were very, very technical stuff. Like one of them was actually like pure maths. I didn't understand anything from it. And then like many of them were like on security and privacy and stuff. And one of the questions that I felt like kept coming up was like, because they were talking about like assumptions a lot of times and like how these guys are building these products and so on, and like how where they hope that it's gonna get as an industry, as a product and so on. And one of the questions that like I felt like keep coming up is like, I feel like we're just building, they're like a bunch of devs using the technology to build stuff for other devs. They never look at the bigger picture of a business. They just like look at like, oh, it would be so cool to build this. Like, let's do it, you know? And I want to ask, like, why do you think this is happening? Because I do feel like to be able to advance as an industry, and not just in Web3, I think in anything, we should stop looking just building stuff for the sake of building stuff. And that's the same case with AI, as you were saying. And I think we should actually try to build something that people would use. um so yeah, that's one of my main problems in general with like hackathons, with like putting money into the technology, because I feel like it doesn't matter how advanced technology gets, because obviously we need that to like make things cheaper and faster and so on, or more accessible. But at the same time, I feel like many times we're just building stuff for the sake of building by the same people.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I feel like the whole mentality of building something just because it's cool, or just even because it solves a problem, is never going to be the case. If you do not have distribution, or you don't have the capability of figuring out how to build distribution for your product, that business, that product is never going to work. If you've heard of a story of somebody just putting something out there and never thinking about distribution, and whoa, voila, all of a sudden it worked out, that's probably just a fairy tale. I don't believe that happens in real world. If somebody did it, kudos to them. That's probably one out of a billion. Realistically, if you want to build something, you still need to understand how to build a business, how to build distribution, and really taking it from there. The technology has never been the problem. Previously, you could hire a firm or hire developers in order to build your product, and the process was more difficult. It had more layers. Now it's smoothed out, but still, even 7 years ago that we were doing product development as a service, our model was not, hey, give us the biggest, fattest brief that you can and we'll build it all. Although that was contrary to what we'd be able to make if we made like more technology as a service provider. We always went into calls with our partners and clients saying, look, you need to figure out what are the first three problems that you want to solve for your audience, and how does the first version of your product look? I know you're telling me all these different features that your product needs to have, but I'm just like looking at it candidly. I can cross off these 15 features that you just named to me and say your core feature is these two, and let's ship that first. Because at the end of the day, that's how you need to do it. You need to go to market fast. You need to have your users lined up. You need to understand how to get distribution. And those are the key pieces. Even if you can one-shot a product with one singular line of prompt 3 years from now with AI, still not going to matter. You're not going to make any money out of it. You're never going to build a successful business if you cannot figure out how to build a successful business. Because the AI was never the problem. The technology was never the problem.
Then why do you think like nobody's thinking about like distribution?
Uh, Same reason we only 2% of startups that are launched are successful, because people are just don't know how to build a successful business. I feel like the people who understand how to build a successful business think in terms of distribution, think in terms of access, and they really reverse engineer the problems they want to solve based off of the distribution and then the product piece. And it doesn't matter if you're somebody who's just starting off, if you've exited 15 businesses, you have to think about distribution. That's the key of any business. Like, having people to buy your product is the main problem that you'll always have with any business you want to build, whether it's a product, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's a physical store, whether it's whatever. The problem is you need to bring demand in the product or whatever you're selling, and that's never going to change. So it actually makes more sense to focus on that before even thinking of building the product itself. But nobody does it. 2% of people does it, do it, and they build successful startups.
Um, I think like you pointed like really well what I was about to ask you. What kind of like distribution models like have you seen to work, and which ones do you think like they're just a waste? Because I do really believe, like as you said, like nobody's really thinking about it. And every single time I speak to like even like not even like early stage startups like or like founders, but I'm even talking with like the ones that are more advanced, I feel like nobody is doing any kind of research on their audience, and everybody just wants to like do marketing or like build stuff and add more features. Like, do you want to come up with more ideas on like to do this? And I'm like, you need to go like 10 steps back and understand like who's actually using that, why, how, and then move forward with it. Because marketing is
Yeah,
never going to help you if your product is not product market fit, right?
exactly. Like, the way I look at it is marketing amplifies what you have as a product. So if you have shit, you'll just be amplifying shit, basically. But yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like, so the way I look at it is, in order to build a successful product, you must have your first 5 to 10 users lined up. Like there's no questions asked. There's zero circumstance where you're coming to me wanting to build a product and you don't have that first 5 to 10 customers of it lined up, and I say this is going to be a success. So that's the first. You have to have your first initial closed beta testers, whatever we want to call it, lined up. You quickly build something that conveys the core value of your product. You give it to them to test. You get feedback. You iterate on it based off of that, and then you start scaling. Now, when it comes to scaling the distribution, there's multiple ways. There are communities. You need to be very. I like to think in terms of distributing a product. There's of course the traditional ways of meta ads and so on and so forth that you could go about it, but also it needs to be it needs to have a little bit of a touch on the creativity side with respect to any given product. Because if you can find those growth hacky ways to grow your product, it's definitely going to give you a massive advantage. So for us, some of the things that have worked quite nicely are clipping campaigns, like UGC creators, and working with them, working on actually getting cited by AI through Reddit. So we go on Reddit, the questions are already asked there of what's the best whatever, and then we go with high karma accounts and put comments there, and then have other people interact with it. And Reddit is the second most cited source by these different AIs, which does quite a boost in your citation in AI. There's all these different growth hacky ways of doing it, and then of course there's ads, which you can have a predictable customer acquisition line. But I feel like in the Web3 space, there's a little bit of a problem with that, because not enough people explore Web2 marketing methods because they're building Web3 products and their user experiences are very awful.
I'm gonna
Like
give you
these,
another reason. Sorry to interrupt. I'm
go
gonna
for it.
tell you that nobody. We don't need marketing.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's just yeah, it's a very weird situation to be at. Like even the major players in this space, I mean, they've kind of tried to gamify and look at the user experience a bit, but still, I seriously believe the user experience that you get going in some of these big exchanges is just not as optimal. Like my test is, if I give it to my grandmother, would she be able to use it? Would she be able to purchase an NFT? If I told my grandmother, I'd give you $10,000, or anybody's grandmother, I'll give you $10,000 if you buy an NFT in 2 minutes or 1 minute, would they be able to do it? There's a lot on the line. I don't think anybody would be able to do it because the user experiences are just not allowing people to do so. So yeah, it's a weird place to be at. I feel like there's not there's not enough good products out there in the Web3 space either, to amplify, which is another problem. But yeah, it is what it is. The dynamics of making money in Web3 have been so lopsided for so long, that yeah, I feel like most people haven't even focused on the product at all.
One of the things that I've seen quite a lot in Web3, and maybe you can tell me if you think I'm right or wrong, or like maybe you can tell me your observation, is that like the majority of the projects that I've seen, they're very either very like heavy tech, like tech that I can't really understand, um, or they are anything DeFi. So for me, just looked like a cow that anybody wanted to get milk from. It wasn't necessarily anything that like where you can use the technology to maybe build more consumer apps, to be able to like have a bigger distribution to go to the masses, let's say, and so on. Because I feel like we've been talking about like getting to the masses for like forever, uh, but like nobody's making any kind of product, any kind of progress about it. And I don't believe that institutional adoption is going to be the one that's going to making all happen.
Yeah, I feel like well, there's a couple of interesting use cases when it comes to the Web3 side, which would be um interesting to look at from an adoption perspective. For example, traditionally, if I wanted to build a business, or even as a large business, if I wanted to finance an endeavor internally, I have all the backing, I have all the insurance, and so on and so forth. It would still take me 8 to 12 months to go and get financing from your traditional investment banks. But what Web3 does is shortcutting that whole process to 1 to 3 months, which is insane from a financial perspective, from an access to capital perspective. That is just insane, and it's amazing. It's a very interesting use case to look at. And of course, tackling that problem would be interesting, but I feel like not enough people have historically been focused on solving the right problems that the technology solves. A lot of people have been focused on the technology, and the technology is not the product. Um, and that's one of the main things I feel like we're missing as an industry, or we've been missing as an industry. I don't know where the future is going. I feel like with stable coins coming in and having some interesting chats here, um, we are going to start seeing more consumer facing apps, more institutional grade applications. But yeah, historically speaking, we've had too much focus on the technology and too little focus on actually building successful products. And yeah, that's kind of what messed everything up, especially back in the day where I was talking to my friend back in the day where you could drop a smart contract in a group chat and just magic money would come in, and you don't even know, you don't even know from where. So yeah, that time I feel like kind of changed everything. But yeah, hope to see a change soon.
Yeah, I wish like I was part of that time when that happens, but I think they were just teaching me how to write emails in university back then. So what kind of business models have you seen in Web3 that you think like are generally sustainable? And what kind of stuff have you seen to be like an absolute wreck?
Well, this is going to be a bit controversial, but the number one is probably gambling. The most sustainable, the highest LTV, uh, the most prominent. So gambling is one.
How many gamblers
Stable.
around there?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting industry. Let's just keep it at that. But outside of that, I feel like stable coins are, of course, the talk of the town now. But what stable coins as an instrument allow us as businesses to do is different layers of what historically couldn't be done, and now it can. Loans, yields, access to capital, speed, and just the sheer velocity of the money is going to be something interesting to look at. And then building on top of that is going to be interesting. Imagine we're quite used to having insane yields in the Web3 space, and telling your Web2 friend, imagine your very traditional like Roth IRA style Web2 friend, hearing about like 18% yield. They're just gonna go nuts. But there's there's no real smooth way for them to access that. But there is definitely a path towards it, and I feel like that's gonna be interesting. Like banking, the intersection of neobanks and crypto are definitely interesting to me. But yeah, prediction markets are interesting. I mean, they kind of niche into the gambling side, but um, in a sense. I mean, it is a controversial topic, but at the end of the day, it gives you an interesting data layer as well to look at. So there's still exciting stuff in Web3. It's just, yeah, you have to dig deep enough.
What do you think is the most interesting or unconventional business model that you have seen? And do you know any company that is profitable right now? It's a very important question because I feel like everybody that I'm speaking to is telling me like we have money, but it's investor money.
Yeah. That's true. Well, the unconventional business type. I have a friend out in Indonesia, and he provides the stablecoin railways in Southeast Asia to the majority of the banks out there that want to start having stablecoins. So he essentially sells the infrastructure to the banks. It's a very interesting business. He has to literally go to each country, reverse engineer their regulatory frameworks, and work with the regulatory bodies to even enable this, and then be able to sell that to the banks. Very interesting business to be at. Very not everybody can get into it, but it's one of the more interesting business models that I've seen. Just working your way backwards from regulations, and kind of, it's like the business was not possible there. You kind of open the door and then you can sell it. So that's one structure that's quite interesting. They've set up. It requires a lot of network and access, and tens and tens of years of network that they've built in those countries. Another one is I have a friend who helps governments or countries purchase crypto in their treasuries, which is also an interesting business. He makes a lot of money. I'm happy for him. He's always traveling as well. But yeah, those are some of the more interesting types of businesses that I've seen working. From a profitability perspective, gambling products are still making a lot of money. Prediction markets are making money. Crypto debit cards are making money in the space. And yeah, I mean, I could go on about that niche. We're building some stuff that might see the light of day soon in those niches. But yeah, it's I feel like there are certain use cases that are here. They're probably not going to go anywhere. Like your debit cards, of course, the regulations might change a little bit. The way the user experiences work might change a little bit. But crypto debit cards came here and are probably going to stay. Same with gambling products and prediction markets. I just feel like now getting into the prediction market competition is going to be a hard one. So building a competitor to Calcium Poly market when they have billions and billions of dollars is not going to be the best play. But building tooling around them or working with them is going to be quite interesting as well. So I've been seeing some profitable companies and just tooling around that, which is still interesting to me.
Where do you feel like we're going? Where do you feel like we're going in terms of like what kind of products we're going to be shipping in the next 3 years? For example, I think like 3 years is a very long time though. I mean, I want like the realistic version, like something that you really believe in, like not the hype version. AI is going to take our jobs. AI is going to solve all our problems.
That's a good question. I usually ask another version of that question from everybody, but I've never been at the receiving end of what's the future look like. What's the future gonna look like in 3 years? This is probably the first time I'm asked that. I think 3 years from now, we'll see an increased level of execution happening through AI. I feel like setting up agents and workflows and so on and so forth are going to become easier and easier. I feel like the human input and the correct way of managing and orchestrating these different machines next to each other is going to become more and more important. I feel like user experience is going to become even more important, especially innovation in user experience. Even if you could one shot a perfect product, I feel like it's still not going to be with the perfect user experience, and there's still creativity and room in that side that needs a human element. So we're investing heavily on the user experience side, both products related to user experience, but just in general, we've created an internal arm for the user experience side, which is going to be taking a lot of focus from us as well, because we really believe that's going to be one of the biggest strong suits people could have building products. I feel like Web3 as an industry is going to move towards more institutional. It's going to have two dissected angles. It's going to be fully gambling and fully institutional. I feel like that the middle would kind of disappear as the time goes on. The dynamics of businesses are never going to change. We're still going to be like a good business operator and leader is still going to be able to achieve success. Bad one will still try to do 50 products and fail. So those stuff will definitely stay the same. And I feel this is my personal bet. My personal bet is venture studios as a general model are going to become more of a hot topic and an interest when it comes to investment rather than the traditional VC model. With the traditional models, you're essentially just deploying capital, or investment model in general, you're just deploying capital and kind of hoping and waiting for it to work or not. But with venture studio, you actually have a lot of control over the process. And with AI, you're going to be able to produce more output, which is going to work in favor of a venture studio. But at the end of the day, you could literally reverse engineer your access and your distribution to build a venture studio in that niche. So that's something that we've actually actioned. So we're co-building venture studios with other family offices, investment groups. Chains are in the discussion now as well. That's going to be a tough one to crack, but I'm optimistic. But yeah, in general, my personal bet is that venture studios and the control of venture studio gives you and the sheer amount of the sheer amount that a venture studio outperforms your traditional venture capital firm from just a pure ROI perspective is insane, both from a timeline but also just financial returns, which is going to be interesting to see play out. I feel like kind of we're in short, in future we're going to be able to do more in less time. And my bet is going to be venture studios are going to be a big part of that and a big beneficiary of that.
I actually wanted to ask you something about like solo building versus like team building with AI, but I think I'm gonna switch the question and I'm gonna ask you, first of all, can you please explain everybody like how does working with the venture studio work? And do you think right now it's like more worth to work with the venture studio like as any kind of company to like ship stuff like faster, better, and so on, or to hire an in-house team to deliver stuff for you?
Mm-hmm. I feel like it really depends on your venture studio. I'm seeing a lot of venture studios which still have the same mentality. They're basically dev shops wrapped around the venture studio model. So I believe working with somebody who does that is not going to be able to produce you anything more than just hiring developers. But if you're a venture studio, and this is why we've kind of A/B tested and iterated, and now we're in the position we're at, is because throughout these years, we try to optimize how to build a successful product as a general outcome. rather than building the technology. So the way we look at it is if you go through our venture studio pipeline, it's going to be first and foremost the ideation and workshop phase of what to build for your distribution. You must have the initial distribution, otherwise we're not going to work with you. Then we're going to do the user experience and interface design phase, which is just figuring out what's going to be the most optimal way of forming the product, the first version, the MVP of the product that we came up with into a neat product. Then we give it access to a closed beta group. This whole timeline is going to be squished more and more as well. Right now, we're doing like 2 to 4 weeks. In the future, it might be even shorter. But your closed beta users are going to give you feedback. They're going to be your partners of helping you iterate, helping you find what's going to work better on your product, and so on and so forth. And then we use that initial base to start scaling, applying more of your distribution into the product. And then if the product needs capital, that's accessible through us. If you need partners, that's accessible. So I feel like if your venture studio focuses on building the product rather than just the technology, it's going to be a good partnership. Or on the contrary, you could go out and build all these different arms and divisions internally and try to bring somebody who has experience condensing your network and ideas into an actionable product, and then having a user experience team coming inside and so on and so forth. But it's going to be more effort than working with a venture studio. That's one of the reasons I'm seeing the venture studio model working more and more as well, because I'm seeing a lot of successful like second, third exit founders. Some of them exited for hundreds of millions of dollars, coming to us as a venture studio to go build software products with us rather than hiring their own dev team. They've done it all, and they understand that just getting the product as the output is going to be the most important part.
Another question that I do have for you is like, what's your general opinion about like all the AI models, like all that we have right now? Not AI models, but like platforms. So Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, and so on, Cursor. I know you guys are like, obviously it's being, or like many of them are being used a lot for like development. I think at the beginning of our conversation, I also told you about like how I hate them, because I don't feel like everybody just like hyping it up, and on Instagram and all over social media gonna see how great they are and how they're like Figma. I should be scared about it. Where I tested some stuff out and the quality of the design is like horrible. um I still haven't figured out like how to make things like a bit more genuine, or like I do believe, as you were saying at the beginning of the conversation, you need a lot of input to like get an AI to produce like what you want it to produce. Sometimes it's very time consuming compared to like what we initially thought. So I would love to hear what's your opinion about like of this project, and um yeah, in terms of like dev stuff and not dev stuff.
Yeah. So I have a more generalized opinion, and that's if you are skilled in a specific niche, or your specific day-to-day execution role is in a specific niche or role in general, you could use AI to boost that process. As a developer, you could use AI to boost your process, pair program with an AI and get quicker results, and increase your output. As a designer, you could use AI to produce some elements. You could train it on an illustration style. We have our internal, our design team Expra that is working specifically with certain models that they could put in their art style and illustration style, and then they could ask it for other types of illustrations or adjustments within those, and it would give them that output. Within the marketing side, it could help you with strategies, coming up with less conventional ideas. And maybe you could even feed it copywriting in your style and have it give you the outputs. I haven't been on that side, so I can't really speak. As somebody who's leading the business, I use it a lot to just run ideas by. It has the whole context of the business, gives me results. I can give it the draft of a message that I'm about to send a client that I'm mad at, and it would tell me, don't tell them that, it's unprofessional. So there's multiple ways that you can use AI. But I think that the highest leverage play is going to be see what you're good at and see how AI could make you even better at that. And then reverse engineer based off of that. I don't care about models. I feel like every 5 weeks we're going to hear Claude is now outperforming GPT. GPT now is outperforming Gemini. Gemini is outperforming yada, yada, yada. So I don't care about models. I don't care about the platforms. That's a race that they're doing with their billions of dollars, and I'm happy for them. But on the receiving end, I'm just looking at what models are relevant to what I want to do, and then I just try to use them.
Another issue that I do have with them is the fact that like I feel like they're built by devs for devs. They're not really that user friendly. Why do I need to like it's exactly I feel like the workflow is exactly the same way that as it is, and like if you go to Cloudflare or like anything that's like more GitHub that's very dev related. And sometimes I'm looking, I'm like, what is this user experience? And I have a friend who's a dev and he's always like, click on that button. I'm like, where? I can't even see it. And that's why that's one of the reasons why I was asking you this, because I do feel like it can enhance your skills, but at the same time I feel like when it comes to the user experience, it's just a bit too complicated. It's still, yeah. And I do believe
Yeah.
that like you can't, people were telling me like, oh, but like, Claude's entire team is made up by one, like marketing team is made by one person. I'm like, yeah, but give me another example of a company that uses AI or like one person as their entire marketing department. Nobody that I know of. So
Yeah. So I feel I definitely agree with that, and there's definitely actually a business opportunity there. So one of our products is called Auto Render. It's specifically built for real estate photographers and videographers, and we're just what's it called? Piggybacking?
yeah.
Piggybacking off of the different models that exist out there. But the difference is we try to optimize the user experience for your real estate photographers. We try to create like pre-built prompts for them. We try to pre-input like templates. We created a template section for them. And the main thing is GPT or Claude or Kling or whatever we're using on that front, they're never gonna go super niche into real estate photography. But our advantage is and will be going super niche into the service we want to provide and just optimizing it for that niche's user experience. So I actually agree, these models are from an infrastructure level amazing, but there needs to be the correct application layer for them in order to for your day-to-day users to be able to use them successfully. A lot of people are trying different things, but at the end of the day, it's like if you're doing the same like user experience and calling it whatever AI for X niche, AI for marketing, it doesn't make it. You're just doing copy pasting the same product. But if you can improve that user experience towards helping, for example, marketers, then it's going to become interesting. So yeah, I mean, I agree, and I feel like there's actually an opportunity within that.
Well, I do hope that like anybody's gonna hear you that's building this kind of products is gonna hear you and they're gonna improve the user experience on that on their end. But when it comes to jobs, like which ones do you think are safe in front of AI, and which ones do you think are gonna disappear soon?
I think it's less about the job title, more about the person. Because I feel like the top 1% of any given job is going to still have their job because they know they could use AI to just 10x their performance, and it's going to be better than AI alone. It's going to be better than them alone. The combination is just going to be produce 10 times more and better outputs. So I feel like that 1% is always safe, whatever niche we're talking about. Then we go to just generalized niches. Of course, blue collar jobs are going to be kind of the last to get touched by this. The entry level, low lift, lazy type of jobs that don't necessarily require input. You're as a human, you're probably just working as a facilitator of something getting done is going to replace. So we've already seen a lot of companies laying off massively because they understand they need to look at their internal performances and say, okay, the top 10% we're going to keep because they're going to be able to produce 10 times the output. We've already seen it. Then the 90% are not going to be good to work with. So that's the mentality, and I feel like instead of focusing on the job description or the role itself, I would try to focus on being in that 1% that knows how to capitalize AI to just boost themselves and their output. I think that's going to matter more.
I feel like that's a pretty long discussion if you ask me, because we just talked about like how maybe AI is not really there to like for certain types of people like or skills, let's say, but then at the same time everybody's telling you to become better at AI. So I feel like, to me personally, as a non-technical person, I feel like it's a bit of a vicious circle, but hopefully
Yeah.
things are gonna get better soon. One of the last questions that I do have for you is, if you were to launch right now, what kind of tactics would you use?
I mean, it's an interesting question. I actually tried to launch a couple of products by myself just as an experiment within the past month. So I launched like 3 or 4 products literally alone. I built them, set up the campaigns, and so on and so forth. I still feel like the core of the business is not really touched even with AI. I used AI to create a lot of these assets, to produce the landing pages, so on and so forth. For example, I saw a lot of people getting laid off, and I created a system where they could input their information and see if the severance package they got was actually like within the legal realm they should have gotten, or there's room to push, there's room to negotiate, and so on, and essentially give them a laid off like 30-day action plan for people who just got laid off. So I built that. I marketed it with Meta ads. I have the CAC and LTV now. It's not there yet, but I feel like I could just improve the CAC through funnels, and it will eventually get there. But to be honest, I feel like the dynamics of business haven't changed. Of course, there are tools that through them you could get an unconventional or kind of an outsized return compared to the others. For example, now I feel like clipping and producing clips, like we're going to talk for 1 hour, and then there's going to be 500 pieces of content that comes out of it, because clipping allows us to do it. Clipping allows us to put the best content, the best discussions that we've had out there, and it's going to get insane traction compared to us just not doing anything. So I feel like that gives you an effective CPM that normally you're not able to do. But I mean, my honest take is the dynamics of running the business has not really changed. Of course, I'm always looking for different growth hacky ways, as I mentioned too. to have products grow faster. But the main thing is being able to figure out how you could acquire customers, how it fits your LTV, and then just scaling that is going to be probably the most important part. Yeah, I would just try to growth hack a little bit, see what are the pathways for me to push it even further. Communities are always a good retention and growth hack way, but it's really hard to build communities. That said, but yeah, I mean, there's 100 tools. I feel like you as a marketer are going to be able to tell me a lot of different ways that we could push this. But from a business perspective, to be honest, I feel like the dynamics haven't changed. It's just that the focus isn't for most businesses, the focus isn't on distribution. For me, with the business that I started, like the couple products I started, I just started running ads, and it worked with one of them. It's actually it scans your face and tells you what it gives you a report on what colors would go nice with your face, from makeup to clothes and so on and so forth. And it's like on the back end, we have a VA just going through using a couple of AIs and prompts to be engineered. Of course, we could improve the product, but it's like an experience and a service, but in the back end, we're using AI to fulfill it. And I launched that actually. It's that one is going nicely. We have the CAC and LTV figured out, and it is working. The CAC is lower than the LTV. It is profitable, so we're just gonna be scaling that. But that was just Facebook ads. I feel like as long as people understand the dynamics of running a business, the vehicles to get you there don't really matter.
Well, that's pretty trendy as well right now, right? So could be that's like one of the things that you managed to capitalize on. I do have like a trillion other questions for you, but like we're kind of at the end of our conversation, I want to ask you like three fun facts. One of them is like, or three fun questions actually, not fun facts. But one of them is like, do you have an unpopular opinion in Web3 or about Web3?
I have so many that I'm trying to pick one
I
out.
think that's one of the reasons. That's how we actually bonded initially, right? When we
Yeah, true. Well, I mean, the most obvious one is blockchains and layer ones don't matter, never matter, never will matter. The users care about the products, the user experience. They don't care about the chain, and that's never going to change. So yeah, that's one.
Okay. What's one tool or like one book or newsletter or like educational resource you would recommend to anybody listening right now?
I'm gonna look very bad because this is my business partner's newsletter, but I don't remember the name. So
It's okay. You can pass it to me and I'm gonna link it in the description of the
okay.
episode as well.
Shout out to Fuzz. I apologize, my friend. He's been very consistent with it. I've been reading the content as well, but yeah, it's just one of those. Apologies.
Oh, I think he told me that he started something recently.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the last things, where can people find you?
It is Raymo on X and Rayka Morandi on LinkedIn. And yeah, happy to connect, chat. If you want to build a product and you have distribution, more than happy to see how we can work together. And yeah, that's it.
And yeah. Joking. Well, thank you so much for being with me today. It's been a pleasure. And I do hope that everybody has learned a bit about like product building and distribution in this episode. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again.
Likewise. Hopefully I see you soon.
Bye, Rayka.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to our Out of Ordinary podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you would like to hear more content like this, then open up the podcast app and click on the follow or subscribe button. It takes less than 5 seconds and is the single best thing you can do to support the show and stay up to date to more marketing strategies that are being used in the Web3 space.